All right, Roundtable Podcast. I'm your boy Corey G at Small Arms, Danny at Trey Speed, and the graphic gangster himself, Cole Susak. Special guest, Westside Barbell Legend, Tony Ramos, a.k.a. TFR, Tony fucking Ramos, one of my homies. What's good?
What's up, brother?
Man, it's hard to get this guy on interviews.
Yeah.
He said I'm on a small list of people that he made time for.
You fucking guys act like I'm Kevin Hart. Nothing to do with that. No, I'm just busy.
I'm just
with
fucking
business.
with you, Tony.
I'm like, now I feel bad. I'm like,
No.
damn, I said some arrogant shit.
Dude, get the fuck out of here. No, that makes me feel important. It's good. So,
Yeah.
Tony, we just had Luke Edwards on. People were fucking they love the fucking West Side stories. But where I want to start at is how did you either start lifting weights and then into getting to West Side? So what's the pre-West Side Tony, and then we'll get to what happened when you got to West Side.
A lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but I never fucking lifted weights
at all.
I mean, in high school they would we'd play football.
Yeah.
And they'd have they'd come in and you'd have to take a weight. Everybody had to show up to the gym that day, or you wouldn't be able to suit up.
What sports you play?
Football. And wrestled.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Columbus.
Okay.
From what side of Columbus?
North side.
Got it.
Graduated from DeSales. I ended up going to.
I didn't realize you were a DeSales guy.
Yeah, I ended up graduating from DeSales. I went to 5 Columbus public schools.
There we go. Now that sounds about right.
Yeah. So I got kicked out of every Columbus public school there was.
We knew there was something else there, right?
So they sent my dad a letter, and they were like, your son can no longer go to Columbus public schools. And my mom ended up begging him at DeSales to let me go there.
Isn't DeSales a Catholic school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What were you doing? Like, why'd you get kicked out?
Oh, I used to fight at the drop of a dime. Like it was literally. I went to Mifflin High School, so I got kicked out of Brookhaven. Went to Northland. I was there for a couple years. I wrestled there under Chuck Dale, which was a great guy. And then I quit wrestling, and I got kicked out. And then I went to Mifflin. I was in the office, and some kid I knew from middle school was there. And before I even got enrolled, I got in a fight. Ended up at Lyndon McKinley for a few weeks. Got kicked out of there, but anyway.
Now I know where some of your street cred has started out at.
Yeah.
These kids
That's why I know everybody.
Yeah.
But no, when I played football, I kind of they told you, hey, you got to show up, you got to do this, you got to do that, and I would never train. I just didn't care. And I was really fast. I could jump like crazy, real explosive. So they would tell you, hey, you got to show up to squat. And I weighed 140 pounds, and I'd go in and squat 405. And I never worked out. And so here's what's crazy is
the guy sitting to your left does a lot of that stuff too. He weighs 148 pounds. Like, I'll just do the meat. Maybe around
That's what
500.
you
Yeah.
just show up. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I basically, what happened was I didn't really lift weights. And then when I got into my 20s, my uncle from Puerto Rico, this great dude, man. He was a POW in Vietnam. And he was like a real deal badass. But he got into weightlifting and stuff. And he would come over in the summer times and stay with my dad. And they would work together because my dad owned a construction company or whatever. So I'd go to the gym with him. So my first introduction really to weightlifting was at World's Gym in Worthington. And I was...
there's some dogs there,
I was
boy.
probably like 19 to 20 years. Or maybe... I might have been younger, but I can't really remember. But I just remember being in the gym. And I'm like 150 pounds maybe. And I was walking around with him, and guys are lifting. I don't know what any of this shit, really how to train or do anything. So these guys are deadlifting. And I'm like walking around, I'm like, okay, and this and that. And so these guys are deadlifting. They're making it look easy. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm stupid. I'm like this dumbass dude that doesn't know anything. And it was $495 on the bar. And I was like, hey, man. I was like, can I try that? And the fucking dudes laughed at me. And they were like, Yeah, fucking go ahead, man. You want a belt? And I was like, no, I don't think I need a belt. So I fucking bend over and I mean, it was ugly, but I was like,
Yeah.
and I pulled 495. And them dudes were like, what the fuck? And then they thought it was a joke.
Like you were sandbagging them.
Yeah, like, it was like they thought somebody sent me over to them, and then I started talking to them, and I met some guys through that. And I kind of just got into training and stuff like that. And I was
A couple guys said, hey, this guy's got some talent. There's some things here.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of just started training with people, and then I ended up with Arnold Coleman and Jerry Obradovich.
Arnold Coleman had one of the best totals of all time.
Yes.
That Arnold Classic.
Yes. So so I started training with those guys, and I trained with them for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. But they were doing powerlifting meets. So I went and helped Arnold in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Then I helped Jerry in Atlanta. And I never put on shirts or anything like that.
These were two of Louis' like main guys at that time.
Oh
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But see, Jerry had got kicked out of Westside, so we were actually training at the Sports Connection.
Okay.
And that's when Louis and Jerry had a problem. So, and I mean, I talked about this earlier on another thing, but so we go to Atlanta. Arnold's training Jerry. We go to Atlanta. Me and Jerry ended up in Atlanta for, I think, 2 weeks before the meet, and it was Tommy Fan and Tommy Williams. I don't know what name he goes by now, and I think somebody said he had passed. So I mean, you know, but so we went down there. We stayed with him, and it was the whole time, you know, fuck Westside. Westside's horrible.
Yeah,
fucking,
yeah.
You know, and I didn't know anything really about Westside. Didn't even really care. So we go to the meet. I sat down. I sat 2 seats down from Louis. And he goes, hey, how you doing? So I'm doing good, man. How you? They're opening squats. Jerry gets up. He fucking squats. And, dude, he comes out of that squat rack. Fuck you, old man. You fucking, I ain't fucking. And Jerry's screaming so loud you can't understand what he's saying. And fucking Louis is like this. Yeah. But I'm paying attention. I'm not really paying attention to what Louis doing. I'm paying attention to all these big motherfuckers that are at Westside.
Yeah.
All coming around Louis like, go ahead and try something because we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
I seriously was like, I was fucking stuck my hand in my pocket. I had a knife. I was like, I'm going to cut one of these. I'm not,
You don't even know what's happening.
I'm not going to take an ass whipping, you know,
Yeah.
but it was crazy, man. And then before the end of that meet, Louis ended up offering Jerry $1,000 if he beat Warman.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember that, man, like the dude the whole time when Jerry went up, and Jerry should have made the lift. But Warman, Jerry's just like, you know, he was young, man, and impressionable, and people could get in his head sometimes, and he was like, this kid's a choker. But, I mean, Jerry honestly should have beat him that day. But
Louis, even though he kicked him out of the gym or whatever happened, still offered him $1,000 if he could beat that guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, by the end of the meet.
I fucking love that.
Louis wanted those numbers. I
Yeah.
mean, and, you know, he loved Jerry. But,
Yeah.
you know, here's the thing. Jerry, you know, Jerry had messed up, and Louis kicked him out for the right reasons, and Jerry, you know, it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
But
they're still homies, but they were pushing each other. That's interesting.
And so, I mean, that's how I got into the weightlifting thing, and then I quit. You know, after that, I didn't lift weights for, I don't know, 5-6 years.
So you have that experience, but you don't then transition right into competing powerlifting. You actually go away from it for a while.
No, I didn't do anything with powerlifting at all. So 4 or 5 years later, I can't really remember. It might have been less, but
I heard you talk about you were training with Paul Keys or something like that,
so
right?
Steve Connors and Paul Keys. And Steve Connors, man, back then, he was a legit 700-pound bencher. Never trained at Westside. He just basically trained at Power Shack. Dude, he had hydraulics for arms. I mean, one of the baddest.
I've never heard that before. That's what you need, Cole.
Yeah.
That's one of the good stack names.
Yeah, yes, I'm
Jeez.
fucking stealing that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So, dude, he was just strong. So we were training at Power Shack. So
Power Shack over in
Westerville.
Westerville, yep.
So we were training there, and then me and Paul got invited to go to Westside. And we were like, okay, well, we'll go over here. Well, we tried to get Steve to go. Steve's he's a real good family man. He's always been a real good father. His family's the most important thing to him. And he was going to put, you know, his family and work first, you know, to take care of his family. So he did that, and me and Paul ended up going to Westside. And when I first went to Westside, I mean, Jerry told Louie, he told him I could bench 500. I've never done a bench meet or nothing in my life.
Yeah.
Ever.
You never had a shirt on or anything at that?
Nothing.
So he lied to him.
He fucking flat out lied. So,
well, because that was a standard back. You had to bench 500 in a shirt to even basically get in the
yeah,
door.
to be invited to go to the gym. So he's like, so I'm standing next to Louie, and he's like, yeah, he can bench 500. And Louie's like, oh, okay, all right, And I'm like, fuck, dude. So, I ended up training there, I think, for 2.5 months. And then George Halbert fucking told me, I had just done lockouts, and I worked up to like 695 or something in the lockouts and pin presses. And I was like, he was like, man, he's like, you're probably ready for a meet. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm like, damn, I need to do a meet. So Thursday.
And you're bench only at that time.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
That's all I did was bench only. But I would go in on Fridays, and I would run the monolift for guys. Mondays I'd run the mono. I would help everybody out. But
hear everybody, young lifters. Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah. I had to pay my dues, and I got stuck in a corner, and it was 110 degrees, and it's Chuck Vogelpool, Dave Tate, Mike Ruggiero, and I can't smell anything, but it's fucking hot and nasty.
Hey, and
over
you're and with those 3 names, you ain't trying to mess the fucking monolift up. You might die.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Mike Ruggiero one time, right? So in Pataskala, his in-laws lived across the street from me, and I didn't know. One day I come out, I was taking the trash out, and there is one of the biggest motherfuckers I had ever seen sitting across the street just on a bucket because they were working outside just sweating like a motherfucker. I'm looking at this dude, I'm like, the fuck is this guy? He had a big old belly on him, but he's so fucking big. I was like, that's that motherfucker, the old Westside videos. So I walked over and talked to him, but I remember thinking like, oh, that was probably the first actual Westside dude I saw from old videos that I ran into. And I was like, oh, these cats is a little different.
He's a super nice guy.
And he's a super nice guy.
Yeah, like he's the nicest guy in the world.
But if you got Chuck, him, and who was the on Dave, it's like these are 3 guys that were legends there. So you're running the monolith new guy that only benches.
Yes. And it's so funny because I would just be like, I figured I'd pay my dues. But then, Thursday comes and I find a meet, and it's America Online. That's how long ago this was.
Okay.
And it's America Online meet, and it's a bench meet, and I fucking was like signed up for it. So Friday I go in, I weigh in, I'm like 175, and I'm having a party that night at my house.
Of course.
And
sounds about right.
And George is like, so George shows up to my house to the party, and he's like, I was like, hey man, I found a bench meet. He's like, awesome. I was like, yeah.
Tomorrow. First off, George Halbert is one of the best bench pressers that's ever walked the planet.
Yes.
He's not really on the internet a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So Tony's talking to a guy that already either has a world record or is about to have a world record very shortly at that time.
Yeah, well, see, he broke, at that time, he went 13 for 13 world records.
Yeah.
He broke 13 world records in a row.
On the cover, Powerlifting USA, all of that shit. And Tony's telling him at a party that he has a bench meet the next day.
So George is like, he looks at me and is like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. So I don't party or do nothing. I go to bed at like probably 1 o'clock in the morning. Wake up the next morning. So it's George Halbert, Clay Brandenburg, and Paul Keys. And everybody been partying all night. So they get up and we go to the meet. And this is what everybody needs to understand about fucking powerlifting. It's a show. Dudes are just really a lot of like, I'm gonna fucking,
Yeah.
I went to this meet and I get there and I'm one of the smallest dudes there. And I'm like, these dudes are walking around, wow, fucking, and I'm like, holy shit. So I'm in the warm-up room. And fucking Paul's loading my weights. George is standing over at the doorway. This dude walks up and starts taking my fucking weights off my bench. And I'm like, okay. And then Paul, he's
a big dude.
This
right?
is a big dude.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he's like, he looked like a freaking lineman from the NFL. Dude, he had hands on him, man, that were like bigger than my head. And he's looking at George, and George is laughing his ass off. It's the funniest shit in the world. And I'm looking at him like, what the hell? I was like, man, I'm in the wrong place. I was like, dude, this sucks. I'm going to get my ass kicked. I don't know why I'm doing here. God, dude, this may not be the sport for me. So, I go and I lift, and Mariah Liggett is the she's the judge. So I know, and I tell everybody this. My first 500 was legit.
Yeah.
She ain't passing shit.
Got it. She's a tough judge.
So I benched 500, and there was a guy weighing 220, and he benched like 520. I had the second biggest bench of the meet.
In the whole meet.
In the whole meet.
So you won lifter of the fucking day.
No, I didn't. Because George says this. When you talk to George about it, he'll tell you, they got their fucking math off.
Yeah, I guess so.
and I was like, don't say nothing. We're good.
Yeah.
No big deal. But that was my first introduction to, like, a powerlifting meet. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I thought everybody was going to smoke me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not paying attention to what anybody else is doing. I'm not paying attention that I'm at the end of the flight. I have no idea.
You're
this
completely
and that.
green, bro.
Right. So it was really cool, though, and I thank Clay Brandenburg for this. But so I opened, I think, 450, and then I go 490. I missed 490.
So then you went up to 500.
Yeah, and so George is like, take 490 again. And Clay's like, we didn't come here for fucking 490. We came here for 500.
Motherfucker.
Yep. So,
yeah. Westside, motherfucker.
I fucking benched it. And I was
love
like,
that.
And it was awesome, man.
What were you? Were you wearing denim back then? Or was it?
No,
it was a poly shirt?
No, it was a denim.
It was a denim shirt?
Yeah, it was a Karen.
Old Karen shirt?
Yeah, it was an old Karen shirt. Yeah, that's what I had on. So, and then that's what it kind of started into that. And, that's how I got into weightlifting. And
talk to him about a lot of people don't even know the whole Karen situation. She was a lady from Newark, right? That
Yes.
sewed denim shirts. Because when I watched Louis bench that's 600 on his birthday when I was like 17 years old or whatever, and I have to bring this up to show it to you. I told Luke about this. Louis gets best bencher of the day. He benches 600 on his 50th birthday. It's in the Westside documentary.
Right.
I got 37th or something that day. I benched 250 pounds. I was in the same meet, right? It was back in the trailer park. But all those guys were wearing these denim shirts, and she was actually sewing them, to size for all these guys out here in Newark.
You'd go to her house, and you'd go in there, and she'd fucking be like, okay, what do you need? And Karen was cool as shit, and her husband, Doug, he every time you go out there, you got to talk to him about race cars because he fucking had like 3 or 4 race cars. And it was super good people.
She's sewing jean material together,
and
bro.
she was just like, you'd go out there, and something would happen, your shirt would blow out. You could just take your shirt and go to her immediately, and she'd fix it. And, they were awesome. That's what I used to squat in denim briefs, too.
Yeah.
So it's like all this. They were really good. She was always really good to Westside. She always treated me really good. And
that's just early stuff,
That's
early gear stuff that a lot of people don't even know about.
I still have a Karen shirt at home.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's probably my 500 shirt.
Yeah. So
I still have that shirt. But yeah, man. That's basically how I got into weightlifting. I never worked out, and people can tell you, and you could probably ask Luke. You could ask everybody else. That's why they call me the Ninja. Louis gave me the nickname the Ninja because I would come in, and like Jeremy would tell you, it was like, how long? I don't know. I was out of the gym for months. I didn't come and train, and then I came in one morning. So I come in one morning, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go train. So I go in there, and I'm training with 3 dudes, and yeah, they trained at Westside. They were Westside guys. So they start doing band work.
Yeah.
They're doing bands against red minis or blacks or whatever. I can't remember. So we start going. Well, I fucking beat almost all of them. And fucking Louis loses his shit. And Jeremy's got to drive around with him for a couple weeks. And every so often, Louis would be like, that motherfucking Tony Ramos.
Yeah.
Just comes in out of fucking nowhere and just fucks shit up and then disappears.
Yeah.
And that's how I got the nickname, the Ninja. Because that's what he would call me. That's what he'd say. He's like, that motherfucker just comes in, fucks shit up, and then poof, gone.
How did you get – so this is the one thing I've always loved about you, Tony, is that gamer mentality, though. Because you'd be the guy that would show up to the meet, probably don't have a bench shirt, borrow somebody's bench shirt, still beat guys, or have maybe a couple ladies in the car from the night before while you're speed benching, and then still, but you would always show up on the meets, like even your big total. You told me the story a bunch of times, like you guys were drinking fucking shots of whatever the night before, and you go and you go total 2060 at 81, which is I still think maybe one of the best totals ever at 81. So it's like, And we had this conversation. He was like, well, if I would have drank some protein shakes. Or maybe if I would have. Or maybe if I went to sleep on time.
That's what Laura Phelps said.
Yeah. But I argue that I think it's actually, maybe it wouldn't have been as great. I think the mentality that he kept is why he was able to do that great things. Now, yeah, maybe one or two meets you might have had a little bit more because of some of these other things, but I think part of the mentality of that is what I was drawn to, and some of the things you shared with me when I was starting to go into some of the bigger meets and trying to hit these numbers, and you're like, look, bro, like half these people, they don't want you to succeed.
Right.
Half of them might. But fuck, you're about to give them a show.
Right.
They signed up for it today. They're about to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would say to people all the time. Watch what I'm about to fucking do. And it would be, I
fucking love this. This is one of my favorite things.
I literally would look at people and be like, watch this motherfucker. Like, watch what is about to happen. Because, you know, and I didn't really, like, I'm an introverted person.
You're a pretty quiet dude.
You know, so I don't, like, I would get done squatting, do something, and I'd just walk away. I don't fucking scream or yell. I've never been that person. But I think I'm a gamer because, I mean, just like last night, dude, I fucking slept an hour. I went and fucking play high limit blackjack all night last night. And fucking come home at like 2:30 in the morning. Fucking went to bed and fucking woke up this morning at 5 and bam, right to the office, get my shit done. I don't know what it is, but I've always been that way.
Yeah.
I mean, even since I've been a little kid, I've always been that way. I've always been like when I know I got to do something, I fucking get it done. I push through.
So what is
I
that?
don't
What
care.
is that switch? Because I've kind of taken on that same mentality and try to teach that even to my kids. Like, yo, we're supposed to show, like, on the days you show up, meaning like that you're supposed to get it over the edge. Because a lot of people, the spotlight hits and then they go this way. But it feels like when the spotlight goes on, I go one more notch, and you seem to have that same mentality or same situation.
I mean, it's like fucking. I mean, you and I both live in fear of failure.
Yeah.
I mean,
everyone does.
Massive fear of failure. Yeah, but you know, I mean, some people have fear and they don't face that fear. We fucking go directly at that fear and go, motherfucker, not today.
Yep.
Today's not the day. I'm not today. You know, it's just like when I was little, man. I mean, I fought a lot when I was little. I mean, it's not because I started fights. I didn't really start fights. I was a smaller dude. All my friends are taller than me or whatever. But, you know, there's always be this situation. But I'm that guy. Like, it's like you're going to say something and you're going to pop off and I'm going to smack you right in your mouth. Like, I've done it numerous times. I mean, just, like, you know, somebody says something, you know, and I tell people this, like, so I was visiting me and my friends. We was down on, I think, Ohio at Champion Avenue at a fish and chips place just a couple months ago. And me and my dude was sitting there, and some dude popped off and said the wrong thing to him. My dude smacked him right in the mouth. I mean, open hand. Pow! And the dude was like, what? And it wasn't like, it was like right now.
Yeah.
But that's the guys I grew up with. I mean, people just like, I tell
There's
people.
a consequence when you talk crazy.
Yeah.
But see, the internet, though, people get away with that a lot now, Tony.
Well, yeah. I mean, because, I mean, it's real easy to hide behind your phone and be a fake person or do all this fake stuff.
But you
like,
better not talk that shit at the fish and chips place.
Right. I mean, that's just what it is, you know. And like, I grew up with guys. Like, so, I mean, I grew up with guys, and on Sundays we used to all meet up and play. We'd be down on the south end. And we'd be playing, you know, ball or whatever. We'd be doing whatever. And there would be a guy that said, hey, man, can I borrow 50 cents to buy a pop? Dude'd be like, all right, cool, I'll let you borrow 50 cents. Give him 50 cents or give him, you know, I got $1, I'll let you borrow $1. So the following week, dude would be like, and you're talking about, I mean, we're all ballers. Yeah. Every one of us. I mean, we ain't hurting for money. We're doing all right. You know, we're okay. Following week, dude says, hey, man, you got that $1 you borrowed? And the dude would say something stupid like, what do you mean? It's a fucking $1. And my dude beat the brakes off of him.
For $1.
For $1. And because it was the
principle
of the matter. If you say, hey, can I have $1? Fucking give it to you.
That's a different
question. But when
question.
you say I borrow the $1, you just became it was a business transaction. And those are a lot of the guys I grew up with. I mean, and they were just old school guys that, they all lived by that. And it was really funny because like now shit doesn't work that way. I mean, it's like you see guys that think that, they belong someplace, and this is given to me. I should be here because I'm this, I'm that, I mean, you've had that problem, I mean, we've
both seen that problem.
Yeah, we've had that fucking conversation about how guys are. And I told you, man, I mean, sometimes you got to shoot a fucking hostage.
You got to clip that one.
I mean, that's the truth.
And I told him I'm going to shoot him fast.
All right.
So good.
Hey, Kyle's giving me a spear finger.
All right, yeah, we gotta have a fucking a quick little break, but we'll be right back.
The Roundtable podcast is brought to you by Max for Muscle. With us is the Director of Sports Performance, Tyler Treadway. Mr. Treadway.
Hey guys, Tyler Treadway here. So the good thing about Max for Muscle is when you see this NSF logo, that means all the stuff that's in this bottle is actually in this bottle. And if you're any type of athlete, that means you're never going to test positive for anything banned substance. You know what? We just brought in OU University, was down there the other day. Everyone's getting jacked, wearing Max Effort, taking Max Effort. It's unbelievable. Reach out to me at, what's Treadway's email address?
Treadway at MaxForMuscle.com.
Treadway at MaxEverMuscle.com. Back to the show.
All right, thank you, Mr. Treadway. Back to the show.
Great. Thanks. Oh, hey. All right, Corey here. So we're at the point where, we shot some hostages. We'll move on from there. All right, so now you're embedded in Westside. You've done the meet. Where do you go? Where does it kind of go from there, Tony? So people know, obviously, you have talent. You're strong. You're around some of the best in the world. First off, let me back. When you first go to Westside, do you know like what it really is, or is it just to you? Is it more than a gym that's local? Because a lot of local guys maybe at first don't understand how Westside's looked at outside of here. You know what I'm saying? At that time, because the internet's not like it is now.
Yeah, but I'm not some people are fearful, think that all Westside these guys are this or that. So I'll tell you a story.
Please.
Okay? And I'm not saying his name, and Jerry O can attest to this. So, how do I do this? So, me and Jerry had made some, some things were going on or whatever, and I gave Jerry some supplements, and somebody at Westside owed him the money for them.
Okay.
So,
here we go.
So Jerry tells me, well, he's not paying me this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. And I'd never been to Westside before in my life. This is when it was on Demarest.
Okay.
So I went to Westside right as it was moving from Demarest to there. But this is my mentality, so you fucking figure out who I am. And this dude's 6'4", 300 pounds probably. So Jerry tells me, and I'm like, oh, okay. So what's the phone number over there? So I call Westside. And, me and Lou had a conversation about this.
Yeah.
And fucking Lou he kind of laughed about it. But I fucking called over there, and I asked for the guy, and he got on the phone. And I said, I don't know the fuck you think you are, but you owe Jerry money, so you fucking owe me money. And if I have to come down there, I'm going to get my fucking money. He's like, what? Hey, man, don't be calling this phone saying this. And I said, and this was just my mentality of who I was. And, man, I don't even know if I should tell the story, but I basically told the dude, look, I want my money.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it's exactly how you said it.
Yeah. So
the PG version.
But it was crazy because that's just who I was. I mean, my whole life growing up like that. I was the guy.
So you was shaking down motherfucker for money before you even went and lifted there.
Right.
Amazing.
So I fucking at my
of course.
I'm at my house, and I gave my address. I said, come over to my house because he's going to bring me my money. So he comes to my house, and I'm working. I have this garage in the back of my house, and I'm out there, and I'm working on I have this fucking, dude, I had a badass fucking 40-foot Donzi with fucking twin 500s.
What the fuck is that?
Nitrous.
Is that a boat?
Yeah,
okay.
It was a speedboat.
Yeah.
Fucking do 110 on the water. So I'm back there working on this boat, and he comes, and he's like, walking back there, and this is big. He's a big
motherfucker.
Like, dude, I have a privacy fence, and you can basically look over top of the privacy fence. And he comes back there, and he was like, "Is Tony here?" And I go, "I'm fucking Tony." And he's like, "Oh, And he's like, okay, I thought you'd look different. I was like, don't get it confused, bud. And then I ended up becoming friends with the guy, and we ended up being cool or whatever, but that was my mentality. That's who I was. So when I went to Westside, I respected Westside more than anything.
Yep.
Because it really gave me a really good place to be. It felt like it was a family. It was, and I loved every guy there. I mean, I respected everybody at Westside. Some of the people, could be assholes or whatever, but I mean, going there, it was amazing. But when I went there, I always had the mentality, and it's fucked up. I've always been this way my whole life, and I don't know why, but I've never looked at something and said, because I'd look at people would go, man, that guy's huge, and I never would look at him like, where, who, which guy? There's only one guy I've ever seen that I was like, holy fuck, that's a big man. And it was Chris, the dude that was 7 foot tall.
Oh, the dude that pulled 900?
Yes.
905?
Yes.
He's the one that bent all the bars at OU, which is why they don't let anybody do powerlifting down there anymore.
Yeah, but he fucking walked in the door at Westside, man, and I never forget he walked in the door and he tucked his head underneath like this.
Yeah.
And when he stepped in, he blocked the whole door.
So,
and
good
I was
story.
Like, holy shit.
Our main deadlift bar, I ordered off Lou. He brought it out to one of the meets out here in Newark. And he brought it to me because I was going to put it in the office over at the old MP office. And they go, hey, can we use it for the meet today? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Break it in. And then Spiegel, that's his last name. Chris pulls
Spiegel.
905 on it that day.
Yeah.
Fucking stiff leg. He's
Yeah.
like 7 foot tall, 400 pounds.
Yes, and he's
so,
the nicest guy.
To
you
say it
ever
got
meet.
broke in is an understatement. That's the bar that we pull on all the time.
Yeah, I mean he's like I used to have an Instagram page. It's gone now, but I took a picture with him, and I'm standing on top of the fucking
Box?
No, it's a
Reverse hyper.
calf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I should have been standing. That's Jeremy. But I was standing on top of the calf machine, and I'm like, got like this, and my head's directly beside his, and I put some posts like, my training partners are bigger than yours.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was just, that's the big, that's the only guy I've ever seen.
Is that also why you probably really weren't scared to take big weights too, Tony? Because
I never gave a fuck, man. I mean, I didn't care. Like weights never scared me. I mean, dude, the first time I ever used a squat suit, it was on a Christmas day, and me and George went in, and George had the fucking flu, and nobody else was there, and I put this squat suit on. And it's but first a canvas, and George was like, all right, and we work it up, and I work up to like 500 pounds, and we put 500 pounds on the bar, put the straps up real lightly, and I stand up, and George releases the rack, and I go down, and it fucking buckles my legs, and I fucking fall over, and I'm holding it like this, and fucking George is behind me, and he's fucking sweating and sick as fuck, and he gets me up, and we get it back in the rack,
Shit
and
show.
I'm like, holy shit, and George's like, you try it again? I'm like, yeah. Let's go.
On Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is going on?
Right. And so, I mean, that's how it was there.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny is like, so nobody knows this though. So in 2008, I had C5, C6 neck fusion. And the reason I started squatting and deadlifting is because the doctor told me, you'll never squat or deadlift.
Got it.
Okay? And I said, oh, okay. So that's when I started. So I spent a month trying to figure out how to train. And that's when I came up with the kettlebell exercise. Because I figured out that exercise during that time.
The kettlebell is hanging on the bar with the bands.
Oh, gotcha.
Tony basically made that up.
Yeah. So So
which
I mean,
everyone uses.
Yeah, but
nowadays.
and then what's funny is it's like it really belongs to Westside because they gave me a platform to do it there. It's like if I worked for some company and built some machine, it's theirs, but they gave me a place to do it. But like it's funny because I have all kinds of video of when we started doing it and when it happened, and so like if somebody wanted to argue with me, I'd be like, oh, okay, motherfucker, here, come and look at this.
Yeah.
But so
Started squatting and
yeah,
deadlifting.
so I started squatting and deadlifting, and nobody would. So Amy Weisberger, I love her to
Amazing.
death. So
That's the girl that out squatted me the first time I went there.
so Amy
Just
goes,
what it is.
So Amy goes, we're all standing around, and I'm like, Amy, I think I'm going to start squatting and deadlifting. And Amy's not an asshole. She's not a mean person. She starts laughing hysterically. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Okay. And taps me on my arm.
Yeah.
Good luck, Tony.
Who's the best female lifter in the world at that time?
Right.
By far.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she starts laughing, and I'm like, oh, okay. So nobody will let me squat and deadlift with them. They basically wouldn't let me work out with them. So George started coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning with me. And then if he didn't make it, I'd be there by myself and squatting and do all my stuff all by myself. So 10 months later, after neck surgery, at 179 pounds, I totaled 1,900. Or 1,800, I'm sorry. Yeah. It was 1,800.
But you went 10-time body weight.
10-time body weight. And this is like typical Louis, you know. He's like talking to everybody, hey, you did a good job today. You did this, you did that. And George goes, hey, we got an elite lifter too. Tony, you totaled 1,800. Didn't say a word. Went on. And that's how I got into fucking. And then after that,
then he was like,
people were like, holy shit, like this dude knows what he's doing, and he's getting strong. And you know, like you
started messing with the morning crew then, pretty much, Tony.
Yeah, that's that's pretty much who I squatted with the whole time. And what's funny is like I can move weights. I mean, Chuck helped me a lot. Mm-hmm. Chuck was because I always ran a monolift for Chuck, so they'd get done squatting, and I'd start squatting sometimes, and nobody would help me. And a couple times Chuck like went off on dudes in the gym. He's like, you motherfuckers, man. He waited for everybody here to fucking squat, goes through 2 fucking crews, and you guys can't even fucking run. And Chuck would run the rack for me.
That's how you guys got tight then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because Chuck always, he respected me, you know, and so, and that was it, man. And like I said, Chuck said, he told people, he's like, I would tell that motherfucker, try this. And he would go, okay. And I never once said, no, I'm not trying that shit. No, I'm not doing that. I would try whatever they fucking said. And they meant, sometimes, it might look like I'm about to get broke.
Yeah.
But sometimes the shit worked out, and they're like, God damn it. Like,
well, and the first time I saw, I didn't realize I was seeing Tony, but this is, and I think Mike Wolf always called him, Flex Ramos since then. Right. So in 2010, I believe it was, or no, 2008, 2009, Flex Magazine runs probably one of the most in-depth Westside training articles that a bodybuilding magazine had ever done. And even Louis wrote for Powerlifting USA forever, and I had started reading that stuff, but it wasn't really breaking out the true training split. I still have the magazine at my house, and it's probably an 8-page thing.
Wow.
And he's on the opening spread doing a fucking rack pull. And it goes through all the guys' numbers, how they split the dynamic effort and the max effort. And this is right after I moved to Columbus, or I had been in Columbus for a while, but I just kind of got back into doing meets like NASA meets and shit. And I was like, this shit is so different than the Arnold training I've been doing. I want to try this stuff. That's when I started kind of becoming obsessed with conjugate method. And then Tony was the one that looked the closest to me. At the end of the day,
right.
we still don't really look like each other, but I was like, he's the one that weighs under 200 pounds that I can actually identify with. So I started really kind of paying attention to the things that he was doing, even though he wasn't doing a ton of content, but I was paying attention to numbers and things that were happening. But my first actual, kind of non-interaction but understanding of who Ramos was is I saw him in Flex Magazine.
Yeah, and what's funny is that's what they use, so the CrossFit stuff that they were doing, Louis was like, hey, do you want to do this for me? He's like, because them guys can't fucking relate to other people. So Louis would have me, do
help
squats.
Seminars, right?
Yeah, well, not seminars, just in the gym. They take pictures and do things like that and all that stuff, just so they'd shoot videos and things like that. And, that was really the thing that, a lot of people, would be like, like you said, a lot of people were like, oh, I can relate to what he does.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem with powerlifting, man, is guys think, well, Jesus Christ, I got to weigh 400 pounds. I got to be this big. I got to have this belly. I got to have this leverage. I got to do this. I got to do that.
Which is what we're trying to change with our crew, because all the guys are in shape, got abs, fucking lifting good weights.
Yeah, you can be strong. It's just like I used to tell people all the time, big ain't strong. Strong is strong.
Clip that.
And motherfuckers would be like, they would be, and I'd tell people that. And I would do shit in the gym that people would be like, holy shit. And the reason I'm in that fucking Muscle and Fitness magazine like that, because we're doing them rack pulls.
Yeah,
and I
against fans
fucking
too.
Smoked everybody that day.
Yeah.
but But I remember that day because I remember those guys shooting that video, and I remember fucking watch this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like I was like full go, like I was on it, and that's my mentality. And I remember the camera guy going, dude, I've never seen anything like that before in my fucking life. He's like, holy shit, dude. And I was explosive and really, really fast.
Yeah.
And that
you
was
got the
one
fucking
thing.
opening spread, killing.
Right, yeah. I mean, it was cool.
But that's also back to the mentality you talked about. That's what led to being the guy. It wasn't a lot of these other dudes that had crazy numbers at that time, but the opening thing is fucking Ramos doing a fucking rack pull against bands.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of guys there a lot better than me, but also they weren't gamers either.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I'm the guy, like you said, I'm a fucking true gamer. I mean, but also I fucked up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I fucking partied my ass off. I'd be fucking on a 2-day bender and be like,
I love the honesty.
I need to go fucking work out because my training partners need me today.
Yep.
And George was like, man, George Halbert, dude, honestly, man, I mean, he's my best friend in the whole fucking world, dude. I mean, me and him are, dude, for over 20-some years, he's picked me up every Sunday. And if he didn't pick me up on Sunday, it was because I was like, nah, I'm gone. And he would text me every Saturday and say, your house. Or I'd give him an address of where I might be, and he'd pick me up. And he would take me to the gym.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes I'd be like, yeah, my house. And then at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to make it because I'm nowhere close to where I need to be. But, you know, it's like, you know, George was like, dude, he helped me so much with everything, man. I mean, that dude, like, he saw what I had, and, man, he would always say, God, because I'd just be in the gym, like, fucking killing it, doing this, doing that, doing this. And George would always be like, I hope you stick with this, but I'm just waiting for the fucking shoe to drop. Because I would just get so good, and then all of a sudden, I'd be like, gone. And be gone for 3 or 4 or 5 days, and, you know, going to bender, drinking, and doing ecstasy. And I mean, it was really crazy because I don't know what I was doing back then. I mean, I had a crazy mentality, but, you know, but then I would fucking, like I said, I went to I was out all night one night. Went to this Halloween party called Trauma, and I was up all night.
Sounds like some trauma's coming.
Yeah. So I went down there. I was up all night, and I was actually with a couple dudes from Westside, and you know, and we were down there, and it doesn't close till 5 a.m. So we're down there for this big Halloween party and shit, and all I remember is talking to this chick in a little Bo Peep outfit all night long.
Of course.
And then. And then I remember, like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going home. So I go home, and I get home at, like, I don't know, 5:30. So I get home at 5:30. I'm fucking laying in bed. I can't sleep. I'm like, fuck, man, I can't fucking sleep. 6 o'clock, I'm like, fuck it. Grab my gear. It's a Friday, and I go to the gym. Well, I go to Waffle House.
Of course.
I eat some food.
Necessities.
I eat some food, and then I remember leaving there, and I got a to-go cup of water, and I fucking stood in the middle of the parking lot. I was like, poured the shit all over my head, and I was like, all right, I'm ready. Fucking wipe myself down. I go to Westside, and Greg Panora and Luke, and we're squatting that day, and it's still on the internet right now, and it's for I can't forget some supplement company. I can't remember the name.
Oh,
of it.
the old At Large.
Yes,
They sponsored before I did.
Yes,
back in the day.
At Large. Yeah, so it was an At Large video, and I'd been up all night long, partying all night long, and I think I squatted like 700 with straps down. and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and I'm being dead honest. And you know, and this is one thing that I think that I'm trying to do now is be honest with some of the things I did, because maybe that's why I did some of this shit, because I couldn't be honest with myself about, you know, me or whatever. But I mean, I was high as hell on ecstasy. I mean, I was
and smoked 700.
I was blown out of my mind, and I still squatted like 700, and I was like, holy shit.
A lot of people that are fans of Westside.
And I want to preface that,
Yeah.
like, don't do that shit.
Yeah.
That's like really dumb
Say
shit.
no to drugs, kids.
It's a really bad thing, man. I mean, really, really is, dude. I mean,
But I think what you're really telling though, Tony, is that there was this all-in, ride or die, gangster gamer mentality that was happening across the board, which is also what made you guys great, because everyone was kind of operating in that kind of vein. Maybe some more extreme than others, but the mentality was all in line.
So Jessica, you know who Jessica Martinez is?
Mm-mm.
So she's a pretty good lifter. She did some stuff raw, but I was friends with her, and she came one time to stay with me and my ex-girlfriend. She came to stay with us, and she wanted to see videos, and I had all these I got a bunch of old videos of me and Chuck squatting and all this stuff, and she's watching the video, and she's like, "You're a fucking thug." I was like, "What?" And I mean, literally, I never really paid attention to it. So if you ever watch me lift in the gym and the way I act and the way I am, I mean, I fucking literally, I remember she said to me, she's like, "You look like Mike Tyson." Because I would walk, and I remember, like, here's how I talk to myself. I'm like, "You fucking piece of shit, don't let this fucking guy beat you. You fucking gonna let this guy run over you? Fuck this motherfucker." Like, and I would literally be, like, in my head, man. And I mean, I remember feeling like I could get myself so worked up that I felt like the fucking front of my skull was gonna blow off. Because I would just be like, and
You're heavy competitive. You're just so competitive.
Yeah, I would just be like, but it's really crazy because I was more competitive against myself. I'd tell myself, like, "You fucking loser, you fucking can't do this."
I call myself a bitch-ass hoe all the time.
Right. I mean, exactly.
I'm like, pull this fucking weight, you little bitch-ass hoe.
Right, and that's the whole point of, like, getting into yourself. And I remember her saying that, and because when she said it, I was like, "What? Well, I'm a nice guy. What are you talking about?" I try to be a good guy, and then I actually watched the videos, and I got all these VHS tapes, and me and George actually sat down there for like 9 hours watching old powerlifting videos.
Cool.
And I was watching it, and I said, "Fuck, man."
It's a mentality.
I was like, I really was fucking like, I looked like I was gonna eat shit, and that's what I was with, and that's when I was training with Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I trained with Chuck, man, and most people will say, "Well, how did you do it?" And I don't think Chuck would. I mean, Chuck would do shit to you because he tries to push you and he wants to take you into deep waters.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's never intentionally tried to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because there are some stories out there about him trying to hurt people and this and that. But
I mean, dude, like, here's the thing. He got a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, motherfucker, it's not like he's got a gun to your head.
Yeah,
he's like, he's not holding your wife hostage over here going, "Hey, jump off that fucking cliff," or she goes first.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really the way it is. I mean, you can say no. And I mean, there's some shit that Chuck tried with me before, and then we did it, and then I beat him at it, and then he's like, "Okay, come here, do this," and now I'd be like, "Yeah, Chuck, I'm going home. I'll see you later." But that's how you have to do it.
You earn the respect to be able to say no.
Right. And, I mean, listen, dude, I may be dumb, but I'm not plumb dumb. And I know, like, Chuck is like, he's one of those dudes. He'll take you into deep waters and he'll fucking beat you to death, Mm-hmm. And I just, there were certain things that I was like, okay. And, Chuck one time hurt himself in the gym. His fucking hamstring was fucked up. So he tapes it up, and he's taped his suit up, and he's doing everything, and he takes another squat, and, man, his fucking leg tucked bad on him. And I mean, he could have hurt himself. And, people don't want to ever tell Chuck no.
Mm-hmm.
They don't ever want to tell him no. And I remember that day, and Chuck, he kind of got mad at me, but I just said to him, like, because he's like, "Hey," everybody's like, "Yeah, man, try it again, do this. Hey, you think I should?" I'm like, "No, dude, you're done. Stop. I'm not sticking around for this. I'm not sticking around to watch you hurt yourself, man, dude." So, and he was kind of like, "What the fuck hurt my," But I think Chuck respected me for that, and he stopped and fucking lived to fight another day. Because I told him, I said, "Chuck, I don't care about your powerlifting, man. I care about you as a person." And that's what I really did care,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, he fucking blows his hamstring off, and then he has no powerlifting. Then what person does he become?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and that was a lot of problem. There was a lot of things at Westside that people would say yes to.
That they should have said no to.
Yeah. That they, I mean, there's a push point, and you know when to quit. But then you also got guys there that just they're just gonna quit.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna lay down and just stop. So
We good on time? Need another break soon? All right. So, all right. Now we're at this point. Let's talk about what the gym means to you, did for you, and just like how when you walk in, even today, what kind of hit you?
so like Westside's always been this for me. Me and Louie, I'm still fucking mad at him. And I don't care if the fucker's dead or not. He's still pissing me off with this because we had a chalk bowl there. And that chalk bowl had been there since I started. And I remember I used to put my hands in that chalk bowl, and I'd fucking, every time I'd fucking chalk my hands, I'd be like, the best in the world's been here. This is the best in the world. This is, and that was my thing for Westside. And fucking Louie took it out of there and fucking threw it away. And then I asked him about it because it was still somewhere, I'm sure.
I'm sure, yeah.
Then I asked him about it, and he was like, I threw that away. And I was like, okay, well, fuck you, asshole. I was pretty upset about it, but, like it's Louie's gym. But what Westside has done for me, man, it gave me a place. I mean, if it wasn't for Westside, I'd be dead or in jail. I mean, God's honest truth, I would. I would have fell off the rails. I mean, there were so many times that it pulled me back into what I needed to be pulled back
on
into,
track.
and keep my life straight. And what's funny, man, is like if you would see me, for the most part, you couldn't tell if I was fucked up. Mm-hmm. You couldn't tell if I was whatever. I functioned fairly well. I worked all the time. I didn't miss work. It was crazy some of the things I did, but what Westside gave for me, man, was it gave me a place to fucking go and like a family. And, a lot of guys don't understand that. See, a lot of guys there don't, here's what Westside was. It was all the misfits back in the day. It was all the guys that couldn't fit in someplace else.
Yep.
Guys that couldn't walk in a regular gym and get along with other people, because, it's, fucking hurry up and go. And then we all had the same pit bull mentality, It's like, basically, if you had to ask me if I had to paint a picture of Westside, I'd fucking paint a yard full of fucking pit bulls that were rescued.
Yeah.
And that's what they were. We were a bunch of fucking pit bulls that were rescued by Louie, and Louie said, "Hey guys,
here's the structure.
Here's a plan. Here's a place for you to go, and then here's shit for you to have a release and do things. And guess what? A motherfucker fucks with you, we got your back." And that's exactly how it was, man. And everybody there had each other's back. I mean, I can remember on training days, I mean, fucking J.O. Holdsworth and fucking Paul Keys were competing against each other. And it was just, you could feel the fucking tension between them two while we were in the gym. But at the end of the day, they were both Westside guys.
Yep.
And no matter what, that's what we cared about was Westside guys. I mean, there was a lot of shit that went on there. And that's what it was for me, man. I mean, it was like Louie was a father to me. I mean, he truly was. I mean, he's done some things for me, man, that, most people, nobody knows about and I don't ever speak of, And, he's always respected me, I mean, I did a lot of things at Westside that, it's funny, I should have been kicked out.
I'm sure.
I should have. I mean, I should have been kicked out of Westside. I should have been kicked out for missing meets. I should have been kicked out because I lifted in other federations. I mean, think about it. I mean, I'm the guy that fucking lifts in a Lexington meet, which Louie doesn't like us lifting in. And I at 198, and I totaled I think 2010 at that meet. And then I cut the 181 the following week and lifting Kenny Patterson's meet and totaled 2020 or 2030 at a lighter weight. And Louie shows up to the meet to kick me out. And I know why he was there.
That's the one thing that I took from is it doesn't matter if it's the strongest guy. If you're not fucking with the program, you're gone.
Yeah, he didn't give a fuck. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like, like Louie said, there'll be another world record holder. They'll fucking, there's, 1,000 guys break world records. I mean, but, records are borrowed. You don't own it. And these guys come in there and they think, well, I broke a world record, so I should be this guy. And that's not what it is. I mean, they don't understand, man. Like, there's a whole fucking story about paying your dues. And this guy goes through this whole thing.
Do we need to take a break real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, all right, good.
So he says, you know, you have people, employees, you got guys in this gym, and you got guys that work with you and all this stuff, and he's fucking, and this is the worst words any man could utter to you in this fucking gym, anywhere, anything that you're doing, Corey. A dude tells you, I paid my dues. Motherfucker, dues are paid every day. Every day. Like, that was the difference with Westside. You paid your dues every day. You didn't pay him on oh, well, I broke a record, so I can just fucking sit back and do nothing. No, you fucking paid dues every day.
I feel like I'm paying the dues every day, bro.
Well, you got no choice.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's like I told you. Like, when these guys come here, you fucking pay your dues every day. If you don't, they're not going to be successful. They're going to fucking do mediocre shit. Yeah, listen, I was a fuck up. Yeah, I missed a lot of shit, but I guarantee you one thing. When I was there, fucking 1,000% in.
Yeah.
And I paid my dues, and I was paying them every day, and I still fucking pay them.
Facts.
So.
And you got Louis numbers, too.
Right.
I mean, which is what he cared about.
Yeah. Right.
At the most, that was the thing. Like, you kept bringing numbers, you kept bringing A game.
I think I've only bombed out of three meets.
Yeah, I was there with one of.
Yeah,
I was there for one.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
fucking your face
we're
melted.
We're gonna take a quick break. We got a little bit more with Tony Ramos. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Tony Ramos. All right, Tony. Before the second break, this is a good episode. We talked about he had only bombed 3 times ever. One of those times was with your boy.
It was 3 or 4. I can't remember. I might have been really fucked up one of those times.
We drove 6 hours to Tennessee.
It was Tennessee, Vegas.
That's a long ways to go to bomb. All the way to Vegas.
Sorry, man. I had a fucking really good party time there. It was good. Tennessee, Vegas, and Tennessee again. And it might have been one other one. I don't know. But I don't think so. Maybe.
So, the make weight story. I'm planning on opening at 650. I've told this story because that's what ended up squat every day shit. But I'm basically like training with the guys almost the whole time. I'm pumped. There's an amateur day on Saturday, the pro day, which is Tony's day, is on Sunday, and we go to like a jacuzzi sauna place, some local spot to make weight, and I didn't realize I was already kind of dry when I got there. So I weighed about 195 at the beginning of that week. But I was lean enough that it was like pretty solid. And I get there and we get in Tony likes to cut weight in the jacuzzi, put a fucking towel over your head and just kind of camp out. I'm in that bitch for like the hot tub for like at least an hour. And I get out and I'm only down a pound. And I'm looking at and it's like 192 still. And I'm like, fuck. And I've already set to open at 650. And I'm thinking, and I'm smoking all of my weights up to that. So then I'm looking at Tony like, this is going to be a long fucking night.
Well, I mean, I used to go from like 200 to 181 in 11 hours in a hot tub. But that was with George, and I know, so it's funny because I'm like, yeah, man, just cut it in the hot tub.
We're good.
Stay in, get out. We'll get you in, get you out. So fucking Corey's laying in his fucking hot tub, and he's like, dude, I'm dying. And he's like laid back, and I'm like, keep the towel on your head. He's like, my face is
like it's melting off.
I'm like, your face is not melting off. And dude, it was like, I mean, I could tell he was miserable, but you got to help him cut weight, so you just got to be an asshole to him. I mean, he can't tell you, like the last couple hours of me cutting weight with George, man, I'm like cutting weight, and I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, I hope you fucking die. I wish you'd have a heart attack and fall over right now so I could just get out of here and walk away, because you're that fucking miserable. So Corey, dude, I give it to you, bro. You are a fucking gamer for sure, because he was ready to quit. He's like, fuck, I'm dying. We go back to the hotel room, and this motherfucker
soaked in the
stays
bathtub,
up everything,
3 a.m.
and he fucking cuts weight and makes it.
He wakes up. I'm like, I finally won. And I'm like 3 in the morning, and I'm like laying in the bathtub. But the problem is I made weight, but then my weight never came really back on enough. And my suit was fucking. I put my suit on the next day.
It's like,
it looked like I put on like a big guy pants. I was like, oh, I am fucked.
Yeah, he put on a pair of Spanx and was like, this shit's good.
So bad. I remember because I opened up. In the warm-up room, I didn't feel that bad. I opened up at 6:50, and I hear Louis going, back. The bar feels, I felt so little under the bar. The bar was all over the place. I felt like I didn't know where to sit at. None of the gear felt. I looked like I never even fucking squatted before. It was so embarrassing. It was fucking terrible. I never even, every time I would hit depth, it didn't even go anywhere.
Right.
Oh, so fucking bad.
But we had fun.
Oh, yeah. And then we drove home 6 hours.
Yeah.
Going. And then Tony bombs out the next day.
Yeah.
I sat there and watched his bomb. So neither of us made one lift the whole fucking weekend.
Right.
We drive back, and that's really where a lot of stuff changed for me, because that next day, it's where I Google search what happens if I fucking squat every day, because I go, I'm never fucking feeling that way again. I needed to get more comfortable, understand it more, and like kind of go on that, that type of that stuff, and that was really like a good path for me, because then it kind of separated me with my programming and things.
We see the difference between me and Corey. He was thinking that, and I was like, I'm finding a party.
Yeah. Oh man, that was crazy.
I mean, and it was amazing, because I got a lot of respect for you that day.
It was tough,
because you didn't, you could have just said, "Fuck it, man, I'm done." I mean, I can tell you, I've seen many of people quit.
Yep.
Many people bailed out, fucking done. I don't want to do this anymore. And you didn't, and that says a lot about who you are.
I think that was like probably 2000, roughly like maybe 2015, 16-ish, around there.
Well, it was probably 2014,
14,
15.
Yeah, because you're still competing. 14,
yeah,
15.
15 was my last meet, was
Okay.
the Relentless meet, was the last meet I ever did at Relentless.
So yeah, 14, 15, and I'm trying to squat 781 at that meet. I just literally, this is 2022 and this is happening. I squat 694 and a half at 181 as a master, 2 months ago.
Right.
So I mean, I've been pushing for that, because I've squatted 700 multiple times at 98 and 220 and whatever, but I was really pushing to be able to make it at the 81, right around 700. It just literally happened. I've been at it this whole fucking time, Tony.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you got to be patient with it too, and I mean, I tell people this. I told you this a long time ago. I said, you're going to get stronger in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
A lot stronger. Like, things are going to start developing. You're going to, and it's a weird thing. You're going to have this. And I told you, I said, there's a window.
Yep.
And when that window hits,
it's the old man strength everybody's talking about.
You better fucking just ride that window and start pushing through that window, because when that happens, you got a 4 or 5 year period there that you can really do some shit. And I think you're right there right now. I mean, you just got to go.
Keep cranking.
I mean, because you're doing another meet here soon, aren't you? Or?
There's a bunch of guys doing one in some of us. Trey signed up in September. Some of the guys doing December. I'll probably go first of the year. I'm gonna try to work some raw stuff for a little while, and then, but even just like benching 315 again raw after having that real bad shoulder injury, I said to the camera, I'm like, watch this motherfucker.
Right.
Hitting 315, no pain, off my chest. Like, felt unbelievable after having fucking completely ruptured supraspinatus off. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, think about what you did there too.
Yeah.
Like, somebody told you, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. No, you need to do this. Oh, you should fix it this way. This is what needs to happen. That's how this needs to happen.
Yep.
You can't do that.
I think I learned that mentality from you guys, man. There's always a way. There's something else.
Well, there's always something, right?
There's always something.
I mean, I don't know, man. I can't tell you that I've ever went to Westside, and I mean, I've always gave it 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, but if I wasn't going to give it 100%, I'd just grab my bag and leave. I mean, I've done that a few times.
You're in or out.
Yeah, I've walked in before. Vibe wasn't there. Didn't feel it. Fuck it. See ya. Mm-hmm. And I'd leave, but then I'd come back. So it was a long time ago, man, that I ended up, Louis, I was getting ready to do a meet, and I came in the gym, and some shit happened. I was like, fuck this, dude. These guys are just taking too long. I'm not fucking waiting on them. I got shit to do. And I grabbed my bag and I left. Well, Lou goes down and tells Tom, I don't know what the fuck's going on at the gym today. Guys are missing this and this and that. And then Tony fucking Ramos just grabs his bag and fucking leaves. and so Tom calls me and says, hey, man, Lou's on the warpath of fucking that you walked out. I was like, it'd be all right. But
that's his answer.
And he didn't, but he didn't understand as I came back in Saturday morning.
Yeah, and got it in.
And took my weight. And then, and like I always told Lou, he's like, well, you know what, you should have done this yesterday. And I said, well, fucking yesterday wasn't the day. Today's the day. Mm-hmm. And then Lou respected that. And it's funny because Lou put a couple pieces of equipment in the gym a long time ago because I used to train at Westside and do all my major exercises there, and then I'd go to Lifetime Fitness and do like all my accessory work.
Yeah.
And that used to piss Lou off. So he got this. So he was, he found out I was using this hack squat.
The hack squat machine. Yeah.
He bought the hack squat machine. He bought something else, and there was a couple pieces of equipment that he found out that I was using over there, and he was like, "Well, I'll just put them in the gym." And Tony's got no excuse to leave. Well, guess what? I still
find an excuse.
I still went to fucking Lifetime Fitness because they had a pool and they had a sauna and they had all the shit that I wanted to do, and the view was a lot better than at Westside.
Yeah, right.
That's
funny. I actually wore this sweatshirt today. This was one, I think, before you could buy sweatshirts at Westside. Because when I first started going up there with Tim and those guys, I don't think you could really buy a Westside shirt. And Louis threw me this right when I was getting ready to take the first 700 because it didn't even have the fucking print on the front. It's only on the back and down the sleeves.
Right.
And I've kept this all these years because I've never only seen, like when I first moved here, I ran into some guys here and there before I knew you guys that had Westside shirts, but I don't think they were selling them then.
Yeah,
I think you had to earn that shit back in the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. Like, so I still have Westside shirts with the date on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he used to put the year on them.
Cool. That's cool.
But
I've never seen those.
I've got a couple of those that are hanging downstairs in my
That's
shit.
sick.
But I mean, it's so funny, man, because like when I went to Westside, I didn't pay attention to many things.
Yeah.
I just went there to lift, and like Gritter was, I was night crew.
Yeah.
And Gritter was not.
He's so fucking mean when I first went.
Yeah, I mean and the thing of it is that it's like he was just doing what he was supposed to do.
He was doing exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yeah,
and he was a smaller guy too. So then I was like, oh, there's another guy. It's kind of he's a fucking bulldog.
Yeah. Because I never forget. I was trying to leave one time. And I was trying to leave, and he's like, comes out the door, "Where the fuck do you think you're going? We got deadlifts." And I was like, okay. And I come back in. He's like, "Where's your briefs?" I was like, "I don't have any. What is that?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Here," gives me these Karen briefs, and I put them on backwards. I came out, and I forget who it was. But they're like, "Hey, man, this is on backwards." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." So I go back in, I fucking, whatever. And then,
everybody got to start somewhere, Tony.
So what's funny is, so think about that. So when I first started going to Westside, I'd go to the bathroom and put my briefs on. Because I'd be like, I'm fucking whatever. And then you fast forward all them years, I didn't give a fuck if it was a woman, a girl. I didn't give a shit who was in there. I'm dropping my shit and putting my shit on there in the middle of the gym. And it was so weird. Like I thought about that one day, like the progression of how things happen there, and Westside was like, it's crazy, man. Like there's, I told you a story about the squat suit when my gun fell out and.
No, but if you want to share that one, go ahead.
So the people used to come. So people used to come to the Arnold every year.
Yeah.
And watch us squat. So it was like a week before the Arnold. So there's like 40 people in there.
That's the one thing that Louis would never tell people usually when there was going to be a gang of motherfuckers. I went and pulled one session when there was a shitload of people in there. You just walk in and you got an audience, which is fucking awesome.
Right. So all these people would come in, but they'd all stand to the side. So we were doing speed squats. And, man, I was really strong then. And, we were doing speed squats. Well, I was moving at the time. But it was like I did have guns and whatever. And every once in a while I'd probably carry a gun. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. But I had my squat suit, and it's rolled up in my bag. And there's all these people there. My bag's sitting right in the back wall against that monolith. So I take my fucking squat suit out, and I go like this.
Oh, God.
And my Glock goes like this and hits the ground. Dude, it's so fun. Oh, my God. I forget who said it, man. I forget who told me. But I was so calm about it. I just fucking set my squat suit down, walked over, grabbed it, took the clip out, checked the chamber, put it in my bag, put my squat suit on. But it's so funny because when I went and picked the gun up and I picked it up and I looked at everybody, every motherfucker was like this. They wouldn't even look at me, man. And it was so funny because it's funny because I I hid my embarrassment so well
Yeah.
that it looked like I was just a cool motherfucker. And I was just like, oh shit, you know. And I'm probably lucky Lou didn't see that because it probably would have upset him because you know those people. He might have thought it was cool because you know Lou didn't give a fuck. But I mean,
Strength coaches, all these people were in
yeah.
town.
I mean, there was
Pro teams.
yeah, there was there was just like, I mean. Compared to Westside, they're just normal people that go to gyms and think, "Oh my God, it's the greatest gym."
They probably don't think.
Motherfucker's got a gun.
A good spot for my gun is let me roll it in my squat suit.
Yeah. Why does he have a gun in there? What is going on at this place? And that was the shit that happened there, man. It was just like crazy, and it just happened.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff would happen there all the time. I never forget this, man. So George's son came in one time, and Gage he's awesome, but it was when we used to have a phone in the gym. And we're all fucking in the gym working out. And I think Laura's there and some other people. But Gage calls 911 on the phone at the gym.
All fucking around?
Yeah, he just calls 911 and he just fucking then he hangs the phone up. Well, fucking police show up. And the police, as soon as the police come through the door, Louis goes to Laura and somebody else, Tell Tony go out the other side.
They thought it was coming for you.
Yeah, he thought they was coming for me, and I was like, I ain't got any warrants right now. It was so funny though, man. But that's how the gym was.
Yeah.
I mean, and what's really cool, man, is like I got to fucking lift with some really, really fucking cool people, man. I mean, I got to lift with Mike Rosario, fucking Chuck Vogelpool. All them old school guys, fucking Greg Panora, dude. I mean, Greg Panora was a bad motherfucker too, and AJ and all these guys that I came up with, and then you got a new group of guys that came in that were fairly strong and would come in and bench with us on Sundays, and I was blessed to see greatness.
Yep.
I mean, I got to fucking see it like
daily.
I mean, it was like I literally got to see greatness and stand right next to it. And it's so funny because here's what's fucking hilarious. My normal was outrageously crazy to everybody else.
Yeah.
So when I see somebody do something, I'm gonna give you an analogy on this.
Okay.
When I see guys, big dudes do shit in the gym, and they're like, "Oh my God, did you see that fucking crazy that was?" I'm like, "Well, it wasn't fucking that crazy. I mean, I fucking see way crazier shit than that."
Yeah.
It's just like the clubs and the girls I used to hang out with, shit like that. I go to a regular bar and two girls start kissing, and the whole bar is like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?"
Yeah, I saw that on Tuesday.
Yeah. That was fucking my last weekend. But it's so funny because that's what your normal becomes, and that stuff doesn't fucking it doesn't scare you, and that's why Westside. I think that's why Westside did really well at meets. Mm-hmm. And George will say this. He said, Tom Waddle used to talk shit to somebody, and George would say, "Man," and he said, "Dude," he's like, and George used to train with Tom. He said, "Dude, if you could deal with Tom Waddle's shit talking in the gym, nothing at a meet could bother you."
Yep.
And he was like, "Man, it was just, and Tom's not a bad dude. He just wants what's best for Westside, and he's, you know what I'm saying, but at the same time." He's going to talk shit, and he's going to fucking run his mouth. And just like me, I talk shit, and I, say shit to people. But all the time it would be, and then you go to a meet, and shit would go, and you'd be like, this ain't nothing. Yeah. You see guys act this way in the fucking back room, and they're all, this and that. Like my first powerlifting meet, I thought, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. But then, but you fast forward 2 years later, that shit doesn't faze me.
Nah, that's why I take pride in our Wednesdays are so intense here. Then we go to meets, we have to bring up the intensity to even get the same out of the guys.
Right.
Because your group was going to be the strongest guys there going against each other just like they were in the gym. There wasn't really a lot of guys challenge you guys. Some of the big iron dudes there for a little while, but the reality is that's the same how we've been lately, where the most competition is actually here.
Right.
Then when they go to meets, they're just taking the fucking spots. And so if they're used to that environment, that's why the other day we had low attendance on a Wednesday. We'll call it that. I was fucking furious. I said, less guys show up today. We ain't even gonna have enough for a spot. What the fuck is going on? It was like a couple guys were out, a couple guys this. It was like one of those type of deals.
They had COVID.
Yeah, that's what it was. There was some COVID going around.
Right.
No, but the reality is, and that's really never happened. And that was the first time, and I was like, ooh, I don't fucking like this, because once again, it's accountability. You're there in the fucking mentality of that Wednesday has to be fucking great, because then we go to the meets, it ain't fucking nothing, bro. It ain't nothing.
Well, yeah, because you go there and you're just like, well, you see this guy warming up, you see this guy do this, you see that, and what's crazy,
like, I got 7 guys in my group stronger than that.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like it.
I have to thank Phil Harrington for squatting.
Yep.
Because I went to the WPO meet, and I'm sitting fucking right here, and I'm looking to my left, and he's squatting. Everybody's talking about how bad Phil Harrington is. I looked at his legs, and I was like, I could fucking do that.
Yeah. Phil's another one that looked like more like our build. You know,
Right.
like somebody you were like, man, that dude squats 905 or
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and
what
Phil
the
was
fuck?
fucking strong as shit,
Yeah.
dude, you know? But, you know, and he's also, I love Phil to death, but, I mean, goddamn, dude, he was fucking crazy, man. I remember one time I let him drive my Escalade, and I used to have this Escalade with spree wells on it.
Of course you did.
And we were driving it to this
What was your line of work then?
car I was in pharmaceuticals.
Poured a lot of concrete, Tony.
I was in pharmaceuticals.
yeah. Just
So-
taking them doctors out to lunch.
Right. So he's driving down the road, and we're going down Morris Road. This motherfucker stops at a light. He's hanging out the window. He's screaming at these girls. He's trying to give them his phone number.
Oh, my
and
God.
I'm like, Phil, do you see what you're driving?
Yeah.
It's fucking, and he just doesn't give a shit, man. I mean, it was just so crazy, man. And like, it's so funny to like 1 minute he'd be off the fucking chain, and then the next minute he would just be, you'd put him in a situation, and then he'd be totally cool and calm. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, this
You're
is,
calling dudes
Yeah.
crazy. That's usually.
yeah. I mean, but here's what's great about it. I fucking love the circus.
Yeah.
You know? It's like Phil's one of those dudes, man. I used to always tell him all the time, man, I got my nickel's worth out of you, you know, because you throw the fucking nickel in and the monkey starts banging the things together.
Yeah.
That's what you could do to fucking Phil every time. All you had to do was make a comment to him, and he'd fucking fly off the rails. I mean, I used to go to meets, and I'd walk in the warm-up room, and he'd be back there. I'd be like, oh, my God, everybody. Phil Harrington is here today. You should be so blessed to see Phil. And he'd be like, shut up, man. But then if you didn't say nothing, he's fucking off the wall talking to everybody, screaming and yelling, man. It's just funny, man.
So good. All right, we got time for maybe statement or question. We'll
Yeah.
wrap it up. I know you got something. This is amazing.
No. So Tony's helped me out and helped me, Treadway, all of us, all the bench guys out.
Yep.
So Tony, for the listeners, what's like the one tip you would give to someone for bench and potentially squat and deadlift?
Yep, that's good.
For the bench press, I fuck, man. Get your arms strong.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
knew
that-
you were gonna go there.
Yeah, I mean, just get your arms strong.
A lot of people don't realize that triceps are, like,
Yeah.
in the upper back is the main. That's what
Yeah,
George
like,
always preach.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I'll tell you like this. Like I learned something really late in my career of powerlifting because of Joe Jester.
Yeah.
He taught me something that I didn't do. I had strong arms. I mean, I've locked out 900 pounds in a pin press. I had really strong arms, but I would get to this point and I'd fucking, you know. But I learned something from Joe, and Joe would do this thing when he does speed bench. He doesn't do this and drop it and go. He goes like this, here, and then press. And it's got that little small pause. And that, dude, I got so strong from that. That is the one point. Like, get your arms strong and then learn that one little and then go. Because what happens is if you fucking just speed and just fly through it, you know, you're missing some fucking firing pattern. You know what I'm saying? You need that. Squatting.
You always talk about those heavy unracks.
Yeah, I'd work up to as much weight as you could standing up, and I would say about 5 or 6 inches, and just stand up with the weight and hold it as much as you can. Because I've stood up with 1,200 pounds before. I got a video of it, and I stood up and I could hold 1,200 pounds on my back. So I mean, that was a great thing for me, because then I get under 800 pounds. I'm
Ain't
like,
a fucking thing.
I'm like,
This
what
ain't
the
shit.
fuck is this?
Deloaded 400 pounds.
Yeah, so you learn stuff like that.
So nervous system shit, really.
Yeah, and I mean, I the fucking deadlift, man. I mean, really is. Here's the best thing I could tell you about the deadlift. I would watch videos of guys on YouTube and try to figure out watch what somebody else does that you connect with, that you feel like, oh, I can do that. Because I tell people this all the time. And this is what people don't. This is one thing that the psychology of sports and all that stuff. And I'm not a psychologist or nothing, but I've seen it happen, so it's got to be fucking true. People said that you could never do a backflip on a dirt bike. Fucking Carey Hart tries it. And then people go, holy shit, it could be done. And a year and a half later, dudes are doing double backflips.
Yeah, it's like the 4-minute mile.
Yes. It's like people saying, oh, that can't be done. But you have one guy that breaks through, and he breaks through the mind barrier to do it. Just like telling a guy, you'll never bench, no guy's ever going to bench 700 pounds or 1,000 pounds. We're told our whole lives, no. See, when you're a little kid, you think about this. If you have a 9-year-old kid and you go to a store and you tell him no, I promise you this, that motherfucker is the best lawyer in the world to try to win his case against you.
Yeah.
And he's going to do everything he can and everything in his power to do it. But we as human beings have beat people down to tell them, no, this can't be done. So what you need to do is see somebody do it, say, that dude's built like me, and you see it happen, you immediately go like that, because that's what happened with Phil.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I was like, holy shit, I could do. Think about that. I trained by myself. After neck surgery, a neck fusion, and 10 months later, I totaled 1,800 at 179 pounds. Shouldn't be that way. But I totally saw what Phil did, and I could totally connect with what he did, and I got as strong as he did that
It
quickly.
helped push you.
Yes, and that's what, people have to understand, and, find somebody and watch somebody do something, because that's the problem. People see guys something. Perfect example. I used to do this with guys in concrete all the time. We'd fucking go over and we'd have something, and we used to carry these, we used to have these blocks, but they would only weigh like 15 to 20 pounds, and we'd fucking go over, and I'd be like, oh fucking goddamn, and then you would see these guys go over there, and they probably weighed 50 pounds or something.
Yeah.
But you'd see these guys go over there, and it would and they would like get themselves all set up and everything, and then all of a sudden, it's just they believe that it weighed that much.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem.
Mental barrier.
Yeah, people say, oh, I can't do that, I can't do this, and it's a mental barrier. And I think that, honestly, with any kind of weightlifting is, if you see it, you can believe you can do it, then you can go fucking do it.
Fuck yeah. Danny?
That kind of leads into what I was gonna say with the going back to the gamer mentality thing. Is how do you or can you even teach that to the younger generation or anybody? What's a tip that you would give to people?
I used to tell people all the time, don't quit on yourself. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. Just don't quit on yourself. That was me. I didn't quit on myself. I just didn't. That's how I thought. That was my thought process. And I'll tell you this, a lot of weightlifting and stuff like that, and my success at Westside probably had a lot to do with when I started doing it. Man, I was a really good athlete in high school. I was a really good athlete. Now I was small, undersized, but I was a fucking badass athlete. But I would only play the sports. I started varsity my freshman year, and I was a kickoff returner, and that's what I fucking did. But dudes would be like, what, but I'd fucking play 3 games because my dad didn't show up. So he never showed up, so I'd be like, fuck it, I quit. That was the one thing I did with weightlifting. I told myself all the time, don't quit on this.
Don't quit on yourself.
Don't fucking quit on this, because you'll regret it. And I regret quitting sports and stuff in high school and things like that. So just don't quit on yourself, man. You got to find it. Listen, if it's not something you want to do competitively, then get the fuck out of it. Go work out somewhere else and go do something else. But if you want to do it competitively, then do it. But that's what I tell people, because you get these guys who are half in and half out.
Yeah.
And that half in and half out shit, man,
ain't gonna work.
It'll run a crew real quick, and it'll run everything that you guys got going and what you got going on. It's just that's what I could say, man, is that just don't quit on yourself.
That's good advice. Trevon?
I don't have a question. It's just awesome to fucking listen to.
I said it could be question or statement.
Yeah.
So that's a statement.
Thank you.
All right, Tony. So first off, appreciate your friendship. I'm not sure why you helped me out back in the day, but I'm glad you did because
I'm paying it forward.
Somehow you ended up being my powerlifting coach along all this.
It's pay it forward, Corey. And what
Yeah.
do you do?
Yeah. Well, I think we also had – it was interesting because Tony was still working at Columbus Distributing when I met him.
Yeah.
He didn't have his own business yet.
Right.
And he worked on the side a little bit with obviously construction stuff. But, like, I think we started having this, like – he was hollering at me on some of the business stuff.
Yeah, the
I was hollering
t-shirts.
him on that's right, T-shirts, and I was hollering him on lifting. We kind of started our relationship really like that. And then it was like over the last however many years it's been now, you know, he's one of the short list of guys I can call for anything, which has been amazing. And so I appreciate that, bro. It's been
Well,
it's
I
been
appreciate
great.
it too, man, because he answers the phone call for me. You got a guy running, back when it was, the other company.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're answering the phone for me. And you got fucking 1 million people calling you. And I can call this guy up, and he fucking answers on the second ring. And I'm like, wow, man, this is fucking really cool. And it's impressive. And he's always done me right. And listen, I tell everybody this, man. I watch this motherfucker, dude, stand on his morals more than anybody I know. Than any person I fucking know. Most men I know that have been in Corey's position and things that he's went through would have tucked and fucking ran and fucking hid away and fucking just fucking blocked everybody out. And this motherfucker stood tall in the face of adversity and said, fuck all of you motherfuckers, watch what I do. And look
Watch
what
what's
happened.
coming next.
Right. So, I mean.
Appreciate that,
yeah,
Tony.
Yeah, dude, I have the utmost respect for you, dude. Business, friendship, everything,
My brother. Well, we want to do another episode just talking about your business. We couldn't get to that today.
Right.
But I think now having this, newest episode about all the lifting stuff, and we'll talk about multi-million-dollar business, the
Right.
things you built next time you come on the show. Maybe we'll get some cigars for that one.
Right.
But I think I can speak for all of us. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
we
great.
appreciate it.
Thank you
So,
guys for having me.
yeah,
I
man.
appreciate it.
All right, Roundtable Podcast, your boy Corey G, Small Arms Danny, at Trey Speedin, the graphic gangster himself, Cole Susak, Tony fucking Ramos. Thank you.